Welcome back to April Anger, episode 7, the yearly tournament series we do where we pit a whole bunch of amiibo against each other to see which one is the very best of the best. The not worst of the not worst. Anyways, our first match is going to be Ganondorf against Villager. Going to be on Pokemon Stadium for this one, a stage that's pretty similar to Small Battlefield, mostly in the platform layout, of course. The platforms on Pokemon Stadium are a little bit higher up and a little bit narrower, or at least less wide. So they're a little bit smaller platforms. Good air dodge from Villager, and then getting hit by an up smash off the top of the screen. Ganondorf already getting himself set up for a very strong early game. Villager being a character who excels with the long-range gameplay, which Ganondorf normally suffers from. However, the amiibo don't seem to use the projectiles nearly as much as real players do. Also, Ganondorf's forward smash there barely clipped the Lloyd rocket, but not Villager, meaning that Ganondorf had to deal with all of the hit lag from the move, and Villager simply deployed another missile. Rocket? I'm not exactly sure what the technical difference between a missile and a rocket is. It's probably that one of them has an explosive strapped to the end of it. Which actually does bring up a good point. Does the Villager have any explosives strapped to his Lloyd rocket? Obviously we know it explodes, but we don't know why. I assume the assumption is supposed to be that there's rocket fuel or something in there that makes it explode. Of course, the real reason being that it's just, funny for the game. But in the Animal Crossing series, the Lloyds and the various gyroids you can get, they exist to make funny noises. That's really what they do. In I want to call it the first one, but Animal Crossing has actually a quite detailed version history. So the one on the GameCube, which for America is probably what you'd consider the first one, the Lloyd sticks outside your home and lets you do a couple of things, which in all the games after that, they kind of don't need to do, so you don't really get the Lloyd, which also makes sense, but it is a little bit sad to see something as iconic as the Lloyd. Well, it had to get repurposed in some way. And I haven't actually had the privilege of playing every single Animal Crossing game myself, so he probably shows up in some of the other ones in some fashion. At least he made it into Smash Brothers, so he's never going to be forgotten. Ganondorf forward smashing the wrong way. He got hit out of it too early anyways, but you at least want to be hitting in the direction of the person. It's actually one of the reasons why Ganondorf's up smash is so good in this game. It covers in front of him, behind him, and above him. So if your opponent tries to, say, get in a sneaky air dodge to get around you, you can up smash and you're pretty much going to hit them anyway. Ganondorf goes for the down throw to neutral air. I'd be so proud of him, except that he and Villager were at too high of a percent for that combo to connect. Ganondorf keeps going for these up tilts. That's a trait that's really hard to train out of the amiibo, I would guess. And that's going to get Ganondorf off stage. Villager with an extra pellet just out of spite, which was actually a little dangerous. If he didn't recover fast enough, Ganondorf could have gotten him with the recovery move. And Ganondorf's up special definitely hits hard. I mean, he grabs you, electrocutes you, and then explodes you. So if that's not intense enough, I don't know what is. Back air catching Villager. And both characters recover. Ganondorf with an up air right below the ledge that's able to bounce Villager into the blast zone. And for our second match, we're going to be having Zelda against Sora. Kind of rhymes, but not quite. Gonna be on Final Destination, probably to Zelda's advantage, simply because she has a lot of projectiles. Sora does have some projectiles, but that's with an asterisk, because he effectively just has the one, and it changes between 3 types on a looping cycle. So he only has access to any one projectile at a given time. Even though, yes, he does technically have 3 projectiles. Also, the Blizzaga projectile doesn't go particularly far, so while it is also a projectile, you don't really use it like one. It's more like a close-range disjoint. Kind of like Lucario's side special. It counts as a projectile, but doesn't go far enough to well, be spammable, I guess. Zelda has to land. Goes all that way without canceling her hit stun into attack. It got her back to the stage, but Sora almost going down past the ledge. He was able to angle it properly, but it is always a hazard you have to worry about when you use a side special move. Zelda with her patented up air below the ledge. And an up air near the middle top of the screen is going to take Zelda's first stock. Sora shooting out one fireball, Zelda easily reflecting it. Both characters just sort of floating around, and a lightning kick's able to take Sora's first stock. He is a lightweight character, if that wasn't evidenced by his floaty nature. I suppose they could make a heavyweight floaty character if they so wanted, but it would have a non-indicative design, which is not something that Smash Bros. Usually tries to go for. Both characters still just floating around each other. That is to Sora's advantage because he's a lot floatier. Definitely a more aerial-based character, which you don't actually get too many of in Smash Bros. The only other aerial character I can think of is Jigglypuff, who is the air character. So having a second character who appreciates time in the sky it's at least untouched territory, which is good for a new character to be added. Up air not quite enough to kill Zelda yet. Sora gets his 3-hit mid-air combo. And that move is also not enough to kill Zelda yet. Oh, but a very high up air is enough to take her second stock. Zelda gets a 40% combo. I never realized how much damage Zelda does. Maybe it's because you hardly ever see her online anymore. Used to be at the beginning, and a Sour Spot Lightning Kick. If that was a spike, it maybe could have taken Sora's stock, but that might have put Zelda too low to be able to recover herself. Lightning Kick. Sora can only take so many of those before he perishes. And Sora's up special was actually able to catch Zelda before she was able to teleport away. Zelda needs to find a way to land. I guess Sour Spot Lightning Kick is a way to do it, followed up by a Sweet Spot Lightning Kick, putting her in a pretty great spot right now. Spiking Sora into the stage, she does recoil off. Zelda doesn't get a combo off of it, but she does get another Lightning Kick. That's going to end Sora's tournament career. Zelda, we'll see. And next we have Cloud against Young Link. Going to be on Kalos for this one. And second blood has been drawn. First blood was drawn, but I didn't react fast enough, so this is the tier of comedy I guess you can expect from me now. Cloud getting caught in a very weird version of the Young Link combo. Usually you hit an up special to up air, and if your opponent tries to do anything... Well, I'll just say it. If your opponent tries to do anything stupid, then you can usually hit them with another up special, follow that up with another up air, and then see if your opponent does anything stupid again. But Young Link was going for grabs to down throw to up air, which it certainly worked. It's, I'm sure, less consistent, but just seeing it makes me want to try it out sometime, just in case I missed this hidden technique. Very close range boomerang from Young Link. Also pretty risky too, just because of how slow it comes out, and if you miss it, it leaves you pretty open for retaliation. There's the up special and up air, but he didn't get the strong hitbox. He still got damage off of Cloud, so he can't really complain, but also Cloud's at a high enough percentage that up air probably could kill. Especially right now. Gets a grab, forward throw kills. So one of the differences between Young Link and Toon Link, and there's the blender technique, although Young Link didn't use the second up special like I talked about earlier. Anyways, one of the differences between Young Link and Toon Link is that Toon Link has a killing back throw, and Young Link has a killing forward throw. Obviously, that's a little bit of a misnomer because pretty much any throw can kill at enough percent, but in normal combat, only so many throws will hit a reasonable killing threshold. And for Young Link, that's forward throw. For Toon Link, that's back throw, which does actually affect how you should be approaching the character in certain situations. For example, if someone has just climbed up off of the ledge, their back is always going to be towards the edge of the screen, which is basically means that their back throw is more dangerous if it's a killing back throw. Additionally, since they just got up from the ledge, they will also be very close to the side of the screen, so it is even more likely that they will be able to get that back throw. Cloud locked in the blender. He doesn't do something stupid, so he only gets hit by it once. Does have to burn the limit break to get back to the stage, though. One of the weaknesses of Cloud is that he does have this great limit break mechanic, but it is also tied to his recovery, which is good because sometimes it will definitely save your life. But also, if your opponent sends you off stage and they gimp your double jump, then you just have to burn your limit break. And the limit break can also be used on dealing immense damage and or knockback to your opponent, so you normally want to be using it for that. And Cloud gets killed by the strong hit of the up air. It's a very spiteful forward smash in retaliation. Oftentimes in real matches, you will see someone lose the stock and decide that they need to rethink their approach, and then behave totally differently. Of course, if anyone's online, there's also a good chance they're doing some sort of party game with their friend where they pass the controller after every stock. But I imagine that would be quite rare. It's actually a valuable technique to try to spot for, simply because sometimes people have online disconnectivity, which is a phrase I guess I'm using. And Cloud's not able to make it back, but Link gave him a little break, but it sent him off the side of the screen. Anyway, sometimes when the internet lags, you want to determine if your opponent disconnected or not, so that you know if you can throw the match to get another real opponent faster. But if you do it wrong, then you just throw the match and then you lose. It's a whole complicated thing based off of the online GSP system. And here we have King K. Rool against Donkey Kong. That's right, we got the lore matchup. It actually does highlight one of the, I guess I'd call it one of the problems when designing King K. Rool for Smash Ultimate, is that in the Donkey Kong series, King K. Rool is always significantly larger than Donkey Kong, since he's supposed to be the final boss, at least in all the games he's in. It would be a little bit not too intimidating if he was the same size as Donkey Kong. However, that gets to be a problem because Donkey Kong is already a character who, in his first game, Donkey Kong, was significantly larger than Mario because he was the final boss, or effectively a King Kong knockoff, if you will. There's actually a lawsuit about the name, as it turns out. And up air is going to take King K. Rool's first stock. So for Smash Ultimate, you have the problem of a character who's supposed to dwarf another character, who is also being dwarfed by another character. There is some leeway they have where they can adjust the size of the characters, of course, Olimar being a prime example. But Donkey Kong is already near the upper limit of how big a character should be, so to make a character that made him look Mario-sized would have been absolutely insane. In the end, obviously, I think they did a good job. King K. Rool is definitely bigger than pretty much everyone else, and it does make him feel a more reasonable match for Donkey Kong. Of course, anyone in the Mario Extended Universe, if that makes sense, already has kind of flexible sizing as is. Bowser kind of changes size whatever game he's in. If you've seen the movie, then he's a factor larger than Donkey Kong as well. And a footstool is not going to kill King K. Rool. He has a very high-reaching recovery, the Propeller Pack, courtesy of Donkey Kong Country 3. If you've played the original Donkey Kong trilogy, then pretty much all of King K. Rool's boss fights are some of his special moves. And I said trilogy, but I should also include Donkey Kong 64 for his forward smash. And then everything else, they kind of just got free creative reign to do. Up throw from King K. Rool, that's actually a pretty damaging up throw. It does about 20%, which is a lot for an up throw to deal. Well, it's actually a lot for most throws to deal. In fact, if you hit someone with it 5 times, you put them at 100, which is when you start looking at kill range. Doubly so against a character who hits hard like King K. Rool. Although King K. Rool keeps getting hit by all of these Donkey Kong headbutts, which is a trait that if he doesn't stop soon, he's gonna be dead. Kind of like a lifelong smoker. Going off, getting Donkey Kong, but he sends him sideways, which is the exact range that Donkey Kong's recovery travels. Shoots a cannonball, Donkey Kong just ignores it. Gets King K. Rool with the get-up attack. Donkey Kong tried to end the match right there, but King K. Rool stuffed him out with a forward air first. And trading some sort of hitbox, taking King K. Rool's last life, Donkey Kong with 1 life to spare. And for our next matchup, we have Boser against Charizard. That's right, we got even more heavyweights. Even though Pokemon Trainer is a character who can switch between them, instantly switching away from Charizard, I guess just to spite me. Not exactly a bad change to make at the very beginning of the match. Ivysaur needing to recover, switching to Charizard. Bowser going way too low, actually barely able to grab the stage. If Charizard had thought to throw out a hitbox, though, Bowser might have just instantly died. Flare Blitz catching the air dodge. Bowser gets sent low. Charizard has a good spike for hitting Bowser out of his recovery. And he does just that. Another Flare Blitz and another Flare Blitz. Charizard is racking up the self-damage, getting killed with a forward air. Flare Blitz is a good move, but that self-damage cost really does reduce its spammability. Ivysaur going for the spike, but Bowser was on stage, so it merely staggered him on the ground. Charizard with another Flare Blitz, actually connecting with Bowser, and doing another Flare Blitz wildly off stage. Getting a footstool on Bowser, though. That's able to take his second stock in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, just like the first. Not looking great for Bowser. Oh, sorry for the interruption. I may or may not be having some sort of audio issue. Hope that doesn't make it into the final recording. I'll try to edit it out if it does. Using editing magic, although I only have so much of that. Bowser looking like he's going for a ledge trump, but then he recovers onto the stage. Getting hit by Charizard's recovery. Get him off stage with a forward air. Both recovered, but Charizard has to use Flare Blitz. You only take half self-damage from Flare Blitz if you don't hit anything. So it's not as bad to use as a recovery move. Also does make the move slightly more spammable in contradiction to my earlier comment. Bowser getting a tech roll and getting a back air on Charizard, killing him off the side of the screen. And here we have Link against Wolf. Not to be confused with Wolf Link, the alternative form of the protagonist from The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Link going low to do something to catch Wolf off guard. Wolf just recovered without almost any hassle, which was especially easy because he has a side B that goes farther than his up special at the particular angle the side special goes. So you'll usually see wolves Wolf players, there we go. You usually see Wolf players recover with it, because it goes so much faster, it's a lot harder to edge guard. Although it does have a couple of weaknesses, mostly that it doesn't snap the ledge as quick as this up special does. That, and of course it has a very predictable angle, so if you can get your character there before Wolf, which is kind of hard actually, because he has a pretty good airspeed. But if you can manage to do that, you can knock him out of the ideal range and effectively lessen his recovery. Wolf going for an up smash, trying to get the kill on Link. Getting sent off stage. Now this is normally the time when I would recommend Link to go for something slightly suicidal, which sounds, it's a terrible question out of context, a terrible statement out of context. But in that situation, Wolf has a not spectacular recovery, and Link doesn't either. But if Link were to go off stage and hit Wolf out of his recovery, that might just secure the stock. And I'd recommend doing that simply because Link was at a high enough percentage that he wasn't too long for this world anyway. Or his current life wasn't too long for this world anyway. So the high risk, high reward going off stage is actually tilted more in his favor, because the risk is effectively lessened because he has less to lose, if that makes sense. Both characters going low, recovering, but Link didn't snap the stage, and he's actually able to hit Wolf with his recovery as a result. Well, Link doing the thing I recommended last stock. Actually didn't get it to land, but that's because Wolf was just too good at recovering. Wolf air dodging to the ledge. I honestly think he should have just landed on the stage. Gets you actionable quicker. Back throw on Link. That is a kill on Wolf, but not from center stage. Most characters don't have a throw that can kill from center stage, unless it's an up throw. And even then, the upper blast zone on Final Destination is actually different from Battlefield, the other most popular, I guess I'd call it competitive stage, tournament stage. Either way, Battlefield and Final Destination have been in the game ever since Melee, or at least they've been selectable ever since Melee. So they have kind of been staples of, these are stages that are legal to play on in tournament. Link doing a great job of just predicting exactly what Wolf's going to be doing and putting something there to stop him. Getting in with a forward air off the side of the screen. Excellent showing at the end. And here we have Mr. Game & Watch against Corrin II. Looks like we're going to be on Pokemon Stadium for this one. Both characters instantly getting in there. Corrin actually making the better play there, jumping high and hitting it down air. It does require Game & Watch to actually jump towards her in order for that to... And now she's trying to down air through these up airs. That's not really going to get you far. Tries to get Mr. Game & Watch before he grabs the ledge. Corrin was too slow. Then Mr. Game & Watch went for a ledge re-grab. Dangerous against Corrin because down-angled, her forward smash can actually hit you at the ledge. Kind of like the Belmonts in that sense. Game & Watch running right up to Corrin and then rolling around her, getting hit for his trouble. But he has gotten Corrin into the up air chain. She did manage to escape, but she keeps trying to get through it with her down air, which merely gets her hit. Mr. Game & Watch did not snap the ledge there, got punished as a result, and fell into Corrin's up smash. It's interesting, Corrin's up smash is a far-reaching up smash, but that's only compared to the size her character takes up. She effectively squats down and puts two upward spikes up, which is cool, I'll say, but it doesn't reach nearly as far as something like her forward smash, where she stands and basically makes a spike twice the size of her person. So there are plenty of characters with a farther reaching up smash, at least when measured against the ground. There it was able to actually poke through the platform, and this is Pokemon Stadium, so it has higher platforms than a lot of other stages. But Corrin is not the only character who can do that. I mean, first of all, have you seen Palutena's up smash? Corrin able to negate the bomb, something that I think a lot of people, I guess, just don't know about Mr. Game & Watch's bomb, is that if you hit it with an attack, then it cancels out the explosive. So it's a projectile that, well, I guess by definition, if it clashes with anything, your move wins. Game & Watch starting a juggle on Corrin, hitting her with a forward smash, almost killing her. Game & Watch still hasn't snapped the ledge. I'm not sure why the amiibo's not doing that. It's possible it just doesn't know. And it can't be that hard, because every Game & Watch I've ever played against always does it. In fact, I've done it. Well, usually after 2 or 3 recoveries, realizing, hey, that's weird, I'm not snapping the ledge. Oh yeah, and then you go a little bit lower, and then you start doing it. Game & Watch getting the multi-hit. The last hit actually connected on Corrin. I can only assume Corrin dropped her shield too early. That's usually how it happens. It can actually be pretty difficult online simply because, well, okay, there's lag for the online reason. But also, in a game like Smash Brothers, there are so many attacks out there, it would be quite a Herculean effort to memorize how many hits every multi-hit had. There are a lot of multi-hits in this game. Up air is able to kill Mr. Game & Watch off the top. And for our last match of the video, we're going to be having Kirby Smash Brothers against Daisy. Going to be on Kalos for this one. Daisy with an aggressive float to start. Kirby with a great parry. I wish I could claim all of my parries were on purpose. Most of them aren't. It took a couple of balance patches, but they did manage to get the parry window to a range where you can go for it if you know what your opponent's exactly doing. But in most cases, it's just too precise and too risky to get all of the time. So it does feel a little bit more like a, oh hey, bonus, like I actually got the parry on that one. But if you try to go for parries too much, you will end up getting punished. So I actually like where it is right now. You do, of course, see parries every now and then, especially when someone's doing something predictable. But you don't see it more often than... Well, I guess you can't see it more often than shielding because you have to drop your shield. But you don't see it more often than something like spot dodge or air dodge or rolling or something. Kirby getting another spike on Daisy. That's going to take her second stock. This might be a pretty quick game. Things are not looking great for Daisy. Daisy, a character with great recovery, but most of it's horizontal. Only so much vertical recovery. So even though... So Kirby has a... I want to say it's a good spike, but that's more of a symptom of Kirby having so many jumps that he gets a lot more opportunities to use it. It doesn't kill people off the bottom, but it does send them just enough that if your recovery... Well, your vertical recovery isn't good enough, you will just die from it. Kirby resisting the urge to transform into stone while above the opponent. More mental capacity than you see from a lot of players these days. Daisy has 2 stocks to make up while she's on what is effectively half of her last one. And that percentage is quickly climbing up, not looking great for Daisy fans. Great parry from Daisy. And then... Well, she got up smashed out at the end of it. And another up smash, able to take Daisy's final stock. Very quick match to end this episode. But I guess you gotta assert dominance sometimes. Bye.